I met my husband back home in Nigeria, and we've been dating like 5 years before I came here.
How easy was it to bring your husband over?
I think it was easy because the government website already made everything clear, but I didn't follow the what I saw in the website. So I think that was what made it difficult for me, but it's easy.
Do you think that you would ever go back to Nigeria to settle? My guest today is a theatre nurse in the UK, and she'll be discussing her relocation journey with us. So thank you for joining me today on my JAPA Chronicles.
Thank you.
Please, can you tell us your name?
Okay, my name is Amina Okore.
Amina, where are you from?
I'm from Nigeria, Edo State, to be precise.
How long have you been in the UK?
I've been in the UK since 2021. That should be 2.5 years. If I should count, 2.5 years to 3 years now.
Okay, so you've been in the UK for 3 years.
3 years.
So back home in Nigeria, what were you doing?
I was a theatre nurse in Nigeria. I was actually working in Benin Medical Center in Benin City.
Okay, so how long have you been a nurse?
I've been a nurse, I would say 5 years, because I finished my nursing in 2018 and I went to work for a year, and I went back to do my perioperative nursing for another year, and I came back to work in like 8 months before I relocated. If I should add the school and everything, I would say maybe 5-6 years. Without the school, let's say 3-4 years.
So what informed your decision to relocate to the UK?
I think I would say, first of all, my friends were all leaving, but then see the crisis in Nigeria, with your nursing pay, you can't even pay your house rent. You can't even buy food. You don't even have savings. So when I saw my friends leaving, I was like, I think that's the right decision for me. I'll just join them in leaving. Okay.
What immigration routes did you take to relocate?
I actually did everything myself. So some people were using agency, but I did everything myself. So I started with writing my IELTS, and then I moved over to write my CBT, and then look for job on track jobs, and then I, when I got the job, did the interview on Zoom, and did my visa application, and I'm here.
Okay, so what visa type are you on?
So I'm on skilled worker visa. That's tier 2 visa. Tier 2 visa.
So what was the relocation process like? Was it seamless?
I would say from the IELTS, that was not easy. The most difficult part for me was writing the English exam, which is not easy because, it's not our, language, and you think English is easy, but it's not easy. Especially the writing part, I would say, even the listening part. I think for me, it's just the IELTS. The IELTS was difficult. Although I wrote once, it wasn't easy. I was so difficult to write the exam anyway. But after the IELTS, I felt like everything was easier. The CBT was easy because it's something I could relate to. It was nothing, you understand. And after the exam, passing the exam, I would say it's just money that was, that I would say was difficult part as well. Having the money to pay for your visa, to write the exam. Apart from that, I think it was easy.
Especially considering that you have just mentioned that the nurse salary in Nigeria was
very low, yes.
Very small, okay. What culture shock did you experience when you first got here?
For me, I would say it's the weather. Let me say, for example, during the summertime, I was expecting everywhere to get dark by 6 in the evening. And then you wake up, wake up around 7. Let's say you have a evening nap and everywhere is still bright. And you're like, oh, what's the time? And it's 9 o'clock. For me, it's the brightness, one. Then the weather is too cold. And then the food, I came in with this appetite. Like, I'm going to eat everybody's food. I'm going to test this food. I'm going to test this food. But on testing it, I'm like, oh, no. I'm going to stick with my Nigerian food.
Okay. So, now let's talk about the challenges. The challenges you faced before finding your footing in the UK. What were the challenges that you faced?
For me, I would say it's the bills. Bills to pay. Although I came in single, so I was in a shared apartment, every bills inclusive, but it's still not easy, because everybody think when you're in the UK or you travel abroad, there's a well of money that you pick your money from, but it's not that easy. It's not like that, because what you're earning, you're spending it. For me, I just feel like the money was too small, although it's bigger compared to Nigeria. But I'll say, after paying your bills and everything you have to your house rent, There's nothing left.
Okay, so down the line, I was going to talk about what you think of about black tax. That's the billing from back home in Nigeria.
Yeah.
But since you already mentioned bills, so let's talk about bills.
Okay.
What do you think about? What's your own opinion of black tax? Way people from Nigeria bill people abroad. Like, oh,
Okay.
I have a daughter abroad. I have a sister abroad. I have a cousin abroad, and then they expect you to just send money when they put a call through. What do you think about that? What's your personal opinion on that?
I think everybody have that kind of people. You know, they think that you have a tree that you're plucking money from. They don't know really work hard to get that money. And at the end of the day, we don't even have savings. You know, they feel entitled. I would say they're entitled people. I don't like that. I've blocked so many contacts. You know, it's not like you can ask for money. It's okay, but don't feel entitled. You know, when someone, you know, abroad says they don't have money, you know, respect their opinion and just leave it like that. In fact, I don't like that about people back home.
Again, what other challenge did you face? You have mentioned billing. Was there any other difficulty in settling down here in the UK? Accommodation, for instance.
Well, yeah, accommodation. We've talked a little about that. It wasn't easy finding an accommodation, you know, because then you have to pay deposits and then you have to pay the house rent. At the end of the day, you don't even have money to eat because it's housing here is quite expensive. It takes like I'll say 70% of your income already, which is not easy. And then, you know, back home we pay yearly because when you pay this year, you forget about it in next year. But here you have to pay monthly, you know, and if you don't pay, you become homeless. There's no saying I'll give you 1 week, you know, 2 weeks notice. If you don't pay, you are homeless the next day, which is not funny, I'll say.
Okay, so you mentioned that you were single when you came in. So you got married during this past 3 years.
Yes.
What has being married been like?
Being married is fun, I'll say, because now I've been able to, you know, do many things, you know, combined salary, I would say. But then it's also not easy as well. For example, you can't stay in a shared apartment when you're married. So you have to move to a 1-bedroom flat or a 2-bedroom flat, which means you have to pay deposits, you have to pay the house rent, and you have to pay the bills, you know. If you're in a shared apartment, you know, you can, business included, so you can use as much electricity. You can watch as much TV without thinking about, you know, paying extra. You can put on your lights 24/7 without thinking of is my money running? But if you're living in a 1-bedroom flat or 2-bedroom flat, you have to think of everything because they bill you per hour. You know, if you put on your lights and you go to work and you forget to put it off, I'm sorry, at the end of the month you're going to pay heavily. So I think that was one of the challenges I received when I got married, because I was already spoiled being in a shared apartment. So my first 6 months, 3 months in marriage, I paid heavily because I was putting on my lights, and it was during the winter, so I was putting on my heater. It wasn't funny.
Did you meet your husband here?
No, I met my husband back home in Nigeria, and we've been dating like 5 years before I came here.
Okay, so you went back home to Nigeria to go and get married.
Yes, I went back home.
Okay. How easy was it to bring your husband over?
I think it was easy because the government website already made everything clear, but I didn't follow what I saw in the website. So I think that was what made it difficult for me. But it's easy, you know, if you follow the right step. Because I asked friends, I didn't really follow what the government website said, and I was having different opinions. So I took the opinion that was fits me best. And then I got at some point got stuck, but it was okay at the end of it all. But I think the process is quite easy.
Then let's talk about successes, the triumphs, the wins. Now we have been talking about challenges, and it looks like everything sounds gloomy. But what are the wins of relocating to the UK?
I would say for me, now I've been able to, you know, own some things. I've been able to own some things on my own. I was able to buy my first car. You know, if I was back home in Nigeria after paying my rent and then thinking of food to eat, I don't think I would have bought a car in the next 10 years. And also I was able to, you know, renovate my parents' house back home. So I would say that's a success. And I've been able to take care of my siblings, you know, paying their school fees and all. I think that's a success as well. And also, you know, being in a new environment, learning their laws, learning their rules, how they act, I think it's also a good success to me as well.
Thank you very much for sharing that. It's a good thing that, if we can take care of people back home, it becomes a little easier compared to being there in Nigeria. Okay. So do you think that you would have been able to achieve all of these things that you have mentioned if you remained in Nigeria as a nurse?
No, I don't think so. I think nurses back home are being underpaid. They just pay the minimum wage and that's it. And they don't think of the rest. If I was back home, I don't think I would have achieved like 5% of what I have now. I think I'll just be pursuing higher education, because I think the more certificates I have, the more chance for me to, move higher up and earn bigger pay. Which even when you go higher up, the pay is still not, it's still small, still little. I wouldn't have achieved all this if I was back home.
Okay. Now, what are those things that you miss about Nigeria?
So I miss the food. I miss the people. Home is lovely, it's noisy, it's busy. I like that about Nigeria. And then Nigerians, we have our own vibes, and I like that vibe. I miss that vibe. And I also like the freedom, you can do things in Nigeria and without being questioned. You can just pick a car and start driving back home. You don't get questioned about it. You can just wake up one morning and I want to build a house and nobody asks you about it. That's what I like about Nigeria.
Okay. So can you give someone that is looking to relocate to the UK, a nurse, because that's your field anyways, a young nurse looking to relocate to the UK, a piece of advice?
I will tell them that you don't believe everything you see on the internet. You don't always believe everything that people say to you. The UK is good, it's interesting. It also has its own challenges. So it's not just bed of roses that people think that when you move to the UK, you're just going to make it all of a sudden. You're still going to hustle. You're still going to start little by little and then you'll get there one day. So if you want to come, it's fine. Come, pursue it and come. Don't let anybody stop you. But know that they also meet many challenges.
That's a very good advice. On a final note, do you think that you would ever go back to Nigeria to settle?
I don't know. I can't say. If I'm rich, let's say I'm a very rich woman, then I can go back to Nigeria and settle. Then I don't need to work, I already have the money. I just, enjoy the, quietness. That's not quiet anyway. Just enjoy the hustle and bubbling of Nigeria. But I don't know if I'll come back to Nigeria. I can't say. So I don't know the future yet. I don't know. I'll just say I don't know.
Okay, so if you're rich, what is rich to you?
For me, to me is like, having enough money, like having a business, that I don't have to go and work, every day. The retirement is another ball game entirely because most people are retired and they still go back to work, do part-time because they don't have money to fund the bills. So if I have money to fund the bills, have a house to stay, maybe I can go back to Nigeria. But then I also have to think about the crime rate. So that's why I say I don't know. So let's wait for the future then.
Thank you very much, Amina, for sharing your story with us.
Thank you too. I'd love to come back next time.
Thank you very much.
All right.